Hey guys, David here and welcome to Digital Outlook. Guys, in today's video, XRP volume skyrockets 66%. So guys, let's get to it. So guys, sometimes there's just so much going on in this space that you literally can lose the forest for the trees. And I'll tell you what, some major deals have been going on in this XRP ecosystem, and the interest has just been picking up like crazy. Now guys, just check this article out right over here. XRP rockets 66% in volume as bulls take charge. Now just listen to this right here. XRP sees the sudden increase in trading activity as, according to data from CoinGlass, the perpetual derivatives market for the seventh largest cryptocurrency soared by over 66% in the last 24 hours. Now listen to this. As a result, total derivatives turnover on XRP reached 1 billion, making the token the 12th largest by this measure. Now, increased trading activity with XRP was also seen in the spot market, where the total trading volume reached over 1.03 billion, which is 71% higher than the day before. In summary, the total turnover of XRP across all markets was over 2.03 billion. Now, the thing that I want to bring out about this article, guys, is this. Do you really believe that that is retail? In 24 hours, a 66% surge in the perpetual derivatives market, doing over $1 billion in volume. And then in spot market, guys, another 71% higher than the day before in 24 hours, 1.03 billion for a total of 2.3 billion. Come on, guys. We can see that institutions are gobbling up this ecosystem like crazy. And that's what I mean by losing the forest for the trees. Because what we focus on, they want us to focus on all the little day-to-day price action. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, these whales are gobbling it up like crazy. Now, some folks will come out and say, well, that's volume. Oh, that includes all the sales and everything like that. Yeah, but think about this. For everyone selling, somebody else is on the opposite end of that transaction buying. Just think about that. And we're talking billions upon billions upon billions. It is not just retail. That is a major deal. And this is why I get out there and I say, guys, you have to look at these metrics of what's going on behind the scenes while they're trying to FUD us out of a few $1,000s that we've invested, yet they're putting in literally not just millions, but tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and in fact, billions of dollars into this space. It is truly something else. And guys, I want to point this article out right over here as well, because we have followed Tim Draper in this space for a while. And I'll tell you what, boy, is this guy one sharp tack. And he's coming out and literally saying the SEC is living in the past. Now, just listen to this. With the recent Ripple appeal, the SEC and its chair, Gary Gensler, are back in the spotlight as the XRP community voices strong opposition to the agency. This new twist has extended the already delayed case timeline, with some speculating it could now reach until 2026. And we're talking about the whole total process of the appeal. And guys, even if it does stretch till 2026, it is not going to make a hoot of difference when it comes to XRP and XRP being designated as not being a security. That is not changing thing one. Now, American venture capital investor Tim Draper appeared on the Thinking Crypto podcast and discussed the SEC's recent actions and their impact. Now, just listen to this. Draper noted that Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, has faced losses in court, not just with Ripple, but also with Grayscale lawsuit and others. This raises questions about the SEC's strategy and effectiveness in regulating the crypto industry. Now, of course, we know know the SEC has employed this whole regulation by enforcement kind of deal. And their motivation for filing their one-page notice of intention to appeal, guys, is that they could lose jurisdiction over. But does that not tell you everything that you need to know? Is that a faithful allegiance to the law? Is that fulfilling their mandate, protecting you and I as retail investors? No, it's just that they want to keep their thumbs in every single pie. And guys, I think they're going to literally get those thumbs absolutely chopped off. Now, one of Draper's key predictions is that eventually the incumbents currently fighting against cryptocurrency will begin to adopt it. And are we not seeing that around the wide world with all kinds of regulatory clarity in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, over there in Europe with the MiCA regulations and all that, in the UK, in Australia, Canada, Singapore, Japan, and on and on and on. Why is it that only the United States just can't seem to somehow figure it out? Guys, it's because there's an agenda afoot, and literally we are being left behind while the rest of the world takes the torch and runs all the way to the finish line. That's the way it seems right there. Now, he expressed optimism about the potential landscape, mentioning that at least one, if not both, presidential candidates are starting to embrace Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as tools for innovation. Draper brought to attention a critical issue. Many innovative American companies are geofencing their products, meaning they are limiting their operations to outside the U.S. due to the restrictive regulatory environment. He said that while innovation thrives globally, just like we were saying there, American companies are at a disadvantage because of the SEC's outdated regulations. Now, Draper argued that the SEC is operating under an 80-year-old set of laws which are no longer relevant in today's fast-evolving technical landscape. He stressed that if the U.S. wants to maintain its competitive edge, particularly in Silicon Valley, it must embrace the innovation happening in the cryptocurrency sector. Draper said that both presidential candidates, of course, appeared to recognize the importance of cryptocurrencies, and he noted that Donald Trump has positioned himself as the crypto president, even stating he would fire Gary Gensler. Similarly, Kamala Harris seems to share these sentiments, which Draper finds encouraging. And guys, right now, we are seeing legislation before Congress with the FIT 21, Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. Now, it's my personal belief that this is going to pass through the Senate. It is going to get to whomever wins this next election onto that president's desk. And guys, I think we're going to get the regulatory clarity that all of us have seemingly been held back from over these last number of years. But guys, I think it's going to come. And when it comes, bang, do I ever believe that this space is going to shoot off like totally crazy. Now, something that Stuart Alderati said, and this is why I believe we're going to see expansion like most people can't imagine. Ripple executive, crypto will be as big as the internet. In fact, I believe it's going to swallow the internet whole. Just listen to this right here. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, posted an interesting poll on X to his 174,000 followers in the crypto community. The results offer insights into the growth of the digital asset space. Alderati asked in his post, which industry faced early speculation, corruption, and bankruptcy before eventually consolidating around a few good actors and achieving mass adoption of transformative innovation? He provided 4 options for his followers. The options were the internet of the 90s, the railroads of the 1800s, cryptocurrency today, and all of the above. Over 62.6% of respondents chose the 4th option, all of the above, while 19.3% selected the 3rd. The first option received 13.8% of the votes, and the second got 4.3%. And guys, Alderati revealed that the correct answer was all of the above. He explained that the internet was considered a sham in the 90s. It was. I was there. We were having kids. I remember people making fun of what the internet could do, and it was a novelty at best. And boy, did it ever come in and change the way the world actually works. In fact, do you know, back during that time, Every bank around the wide world, if there was any kind of a outage or anything for the internet, boy, they would have no problem. It would have been just a little blip, and they would have just carried on. We recently saw a major cyber event with Bank of America and all the clients getting literally zeroed balances on their accounts and all this kind of stuff. Do you guys realize that if there were 2 days of internet darkness, you are talking trillions of dollars lost? The banking sector around the wide world has gotten that dependent on the internet. Most people did not see that coming. And I genuinely believe this distributed ledger technology is going to literally, absolutely dwarf that. It is going to be amazing transformation. And just think, we haven't even touched the surface on the innovation, the invention that's coming. The very fact that we're able to do what we're doing right now shows you just how vastly the internet has changed the way people function, because this message is getting out, literally transcending borders, and we have a global community right here in this space and right on this channel. That is something phenomenal right there. Now, he explained that the internet was considered a sham in the 90s, and the railroads experienced the panic of 1873. The Ripple executive compared the current state of the digital asset space to these industries in their early days, noting that it was also plagued by scams, speculation, and corruption. He says all of the above, and there's the tweet right there where he put out the poll, and there's the answer right there. And he says, and crypto was marked most notably by, of course, FTX, another one, Mt. Gox, and other ones like that. Now, Aldera mentioned the bankrupt crypto exchange FTX, implying that the biggest scam in the digital asset space is behind us. He suggested the industry can now reach new heights with new actors leading the way and transforming the industry by eliminating the bad actors. The collapse of FTX, one of the largest digital asset trading platforms in 2021 and 2022, under the leadership of Sam Bankman-Fried, previously known as the White Knight of the crypto sector, and out there kissing all these politicians. Remember that? And the glad handing that went on. And in fact, SBF was literally right in Gary Gensler's office almost as many times as he wanted, and they were all just smoozing up to this guy. Turned out to be one of the biggest fraudsters the world has ever seen, and yet they couldn't make even 10 minutes time to talk to the leadership of Ripple. Isn't that something? And it wiped off a whopping $40 billion from the industry. Now, Bankman-Fried is currently behind bars, facing and actually serving the start of his 25-year jail sentence. Of course, this guy's out there maintaining his innocence and has discussed plans of appealing the judge's decision. But guys, come on. We know, look, even his own girlfriend came out and ratted him out, and all of his friends. I mean, it was just an absolute disaster. And the money that went to some of these political funds and all that is truly mind-bending. But needless to say, I agree with Stuart Alderati. When we shake all of this deception that's going out, and some of it's literally happening in Congress there, as far as I'm concerned, when you got Elizabeth Warren colluding with Gary Gensler over the whole House Financial Services Committee, giving him the answers to the questions, and on and on and on, and then doing theater for you and I to make it look like they were actually holding him accountable. Come on, what absolute hooey. And this is why, guys, for me, if I was out there in Massachusetts, I'd be getting behind John Deaton 101. I'll tell you why, because, guys, this guy is out there defending you and I in this digital asset space. And that is something you want to think about when we're only literally just, 30 days away from a decision that could infect or affect, not just infect, but affect almost all of us in this digital asset space in a powerful way, and probably for years and years to come. Guys, when you see this kind of stuff going on and you're literally watching, I do believe it'll swallow the internet whole. And you got guys like Tim Draper, and you're talking about how this regulation by enforcement, it is absolute insanity. And yet you're watching the whales just gobble this up, 66% in volume in the derivatives market, and just going nuts in the spot market as well. For me, guys, I'll tell you what, it speaks absolute volumes. And for Judy and I, we have gone out there, we have peeled back that onion, and this is why I tell you, get out there. You owe it to yourself to at least research it, because, guys, I'll tell you, one day we are going to wake up and bam, the world is going to be something that most of us won't even recognize. So guys, one thing that I can tell you from firsthand experience, you will thank yourself that you took the time to get your plan in place before this bull run literally takes off. And what our coaching program offers, that is where you and I can meet personally one-on-one for 1 hour over Zoom. And during that time, I share with you our personal journey in that last bull run and what enabled Judy and I to experience some amazing financial success. I share with you the mistakes we made so that you don't have to fall into the same pitfalls we did. We take a look at your portfolio and make sure that it's balanced towards your goals, and we work together to develop your exit strategy. We can even get your assets off an exchange and onto a hardware wallet, along with delivering to you some amazing techniques that are really going to help you in this space. Now, the cost of that is $250, and if that's something that interests you, you write me right there at coaching@thedigitaloutlook.com and we'll get y'all booked in. So guys, I truly hope that you enjoyed today's video, and as always, it's not financial advice, it's just my 2 cents. Hit the like and subscribe and drop your comments right down there in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next one.